Hi there, I'm Chris from Airwindows, and it is getting on towards 1:20 in the morning. Why? Because I've been working on something, and it took me all day, because I ran into a bunch of weird problems and didn't want to just give up. I wanted to still have something for Sunday, and I do. And I'll tell you what, it is ToTape6. Yep. That's right. ToTape is out. So what has changed? Well, it might look kind of similar. It's got slightly different changes. It's got input, soften, head bump, flutter, output, and dry wet. But under the hood, pretty much everything has changed. The low frequency control, rather than being this complicated filter that I made up from scratch, is one of my Airwindows interleaved biquad filters. Flutter is radically revisited because people have been bugging me wanting a crazy, crappy, trash the tape completely plugin. And also what I had for Flutter before wasn't working as well as I would have liked. So today has been bashing myself against these various problems. And I think I have succeeded. You'll let me know if anything is wrong, as I will follow up and fix it. I don't think anything's wrong this time. We'll see. Let me play some music. Let me play some raucous, noisy rock music and then turn it on. This is ToTape. You notice I've got an output level on there. It's minus 12 to plus 12. But I've also got an input level that can do the same thing. So this has some of the same qualities as real tape, in that you can slam it and it handles that serenely. Like you can hit it fairly hard and it still sounds graceful, like this. Now that's a lot of gain going in there, so beware. But it handles it gracefully because it's using the stuff that I came up with in UnBox and Focus to sort of distort mid-range at you. You can push it and it'll zero in on an area. This also has a version of AD clip on the very output for a safety clipper. So it can be slammed in various ways. For instance, you can also slam the output, and it's not going to quite clip that way. But you can also do other silly things like head bump. We can take it out, or we can put it in. And I'll bypass it. The thing is centered around 0.5 as a general thing. Also, I've got a dry wet control in here. But the remaining thing that I have as far as special tricks for this plugin is the flutter. This is what it sounds like without flutter. But, like I said, we can give it sort of excessive and there's something that happens with this we've actually got multiple layers of dry wet in here. So there is a layer where the output and the gain and stuff, it's running UnBox, so it's running some dry signal, but it's running that after the flutter. But the fundamental dry wet control is actually also including the flutter. So what you get is a funny kind of effect. I think this is going to go back to the original rock and roll stuff again. Yep. You can do this. So that's pretty wild. I should point out that that's the AU, which is end to end, meaning that it will do as much as 5.1 surround with all of the different channels having their own little timings. The VST works slightly differently in that it is a stereo plugin rather than end to end. So that one more accurately emulates the sound of a piece of stereo tape that is fluttering or wafering, consistent to being on a single piece of tape rather than parallel mono tapes. So there's a slight difference there. But the bottom line is, this is the first flutter that I've had that was good enough to sit on the defaults. With the defaults, everything kind of lines up vertically like that. And at the 0.5 setting, it's not all that strong. Like, you can hear it flanging away a little bit there. And then that's the no flutter, well, no, that's output. This is no flutter at all. And if you have noisy enough music, you can't hear it fluttering at all. Oh no, it's eating the tape. Anyways, that is ToTape6. And I have a feeling this is going to go over pretty well. I mean, unless I find bugs or problems, but I don't anticipate any major problems. It seems to be working fine. And it is for you to use. I'm trying to think of what else. It is so late at night. I've been working all day on this, so I will do my best to remember everything I wanted to say about it. Some of the stuff I've learned is going to be going into other plugins. For instance, the low frequencies I've got here. Be careful of that head bump control because you can get a really heavy lows boost on it. One of the things that I did experimentally was like trying to add multiple instances. Like if you can stack these up, it performs a lot better than ToTape 5. And oh wait, I've still got this one all fluttery. There you go. 3 instances of tape. And we'll slam them. Oh no. Madness. So I'm having too much fun. So I need to post this video. This has been the beginning of 2020, so I feel I'm starting off with a bang pretty well. I've been dialing back on some of my commitments, like the, here, I'm going to take these silly headphones out. Been dialing back on some of my commitments, like Evergreens didn't work out the way that I wanted, and I haven't been making any music, although you can see that I have sort of blurred out in the background there. I'm working on stuff involving like the chord organ firmware that I just did, and figuring out how to use real music thing modular Turing machines, which are much better than the 2 HP ones. Just saying. I built some. I like them. And that'll go live once I'm really ready for it. But I'm sort of falling back on the basic stuff. I'm falling back on trying to do amazing plugins that people can really use. I might very well end up next week following this up with what I had in mind, because I wanted to do a version of ToTape that was more stripped down. I didn't like having all these controls on it. Of course, that was before I worked out how to do the insane flutter behavior, so that was kind of fun. But I did sort of have my heart set on doing a really simple stripped down ToTape that you just put on and it just worked, probably without the flutter. As much as the middle setting gives a really solid, unobtrusive version of flutter, for some genres or some things like synthesizers and stuff, it might still be a little excessive. So I'm thinking about trying to do another one that is kind of optimally tuned and just sits there with some gain levels and such, and that's about all there is. It can have just an input level, and the output would be caught by the version of 80 clip that's sitting on the output of this as well. Either way, I'm still trying to put together a concept of plugins that can come in collections, and rather than having to dig through the enormous pile of all the stuff and not know what's going on, I can give you some basic stuff that'll just plain work and doesn't lend itself so much to endless fiddling with. But this, as well as ToTape6, has the 6 controls, and it's all available for much fiddling with, and you can do weird things like the dry wet and the way that the flutter control makes it get kind of flangy and so on. It's all good, all in various ways. In any case, the reason I'm still doing this is because of Patreon. I appreciate greatly the fact that I've got Patreon and I'm able to focus on this full time. Full time means I put an hour and 38 minutes into doing a live stream, and that will increase as the Patreon grows. And I've been thinking in terms of trying to come up with something where I can expand upon people's access to like hardware and soldering kits and electronics and stuff together, which might not be everybody's cup of tea, but I think it's a great thing to sort of add to your repertoire. And if you're building stuff from kits or you're building stuff for yourself, it's not nearly as expensive as getting the, synthesizer parts pre-made by somebody. And you can also do stuff personally, but that's to be, I'll get into that later. It's getting really late. I really should be going to bed. So I hope you like ToTape. If you would buy this at $50 a pop for like perpetual license with support for life, and also you get to own the source, then please jump on Patreon and throw an additional $50 a year my way. If a year goes by and I haven't written another plugin, then you can take the $50 away again and it'll all be cool. But I kind of suspect I will. I kind of suspect I'll make more plugins. And with that, let's say goodbye to ToTape. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.